We are all in the business of health, and everyone is here because they want to take their health seriously. Our first presenter this afternoon is Mrs. Kimberly Rainford, and Ms. Rainford comes to us from Sarah. She works at Sarah, and she has been working for 6 years. She is a diabetic retinopathy screener grader. Could you help me in welcoming Ms.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing today?
Great.
Alright, so in keeping with the COVID protocol, I'm asking you to allow me to remove my mask. Alright? Alright, so today we're going to present on diabetes and the eye. Now, our objective today is to understand how diabetes affects the eye, how to identify the risk associated to diabetes and the eye, and how we can reduce the risk, the treatments available, as well as the healthcare professionals that you can go to as it relates to diabetes and the eye. Right? So first we're going to start off today with what is diabetes. So I know that a few persons in the audience here might be diabetic, and you know that you're going to a general practitioner, you're getting medication, but you're not sure exactly what diabetes really is. So diabetes is a condition where your body is unable to produce glucose properly. Also, it's also a condition where enough insulin is not being produced, or we're unable to use insulin as efficiently, right? So what is glucose? Glucose is a sugar. So anytime you eat something, once whatever you're eating enters inside the body, it will turn to sugar. So all in all, we can safely say that God made us very sweet. Alright, so there are 3 different types of diabetes. And the first type of diabetes is type 1. So type 1 diabetes are insulin-dependent diabetes. So this diabetes is where you will get it from an earlier stage in life, so at your adolescence years or your teenage years, and it normally occurs before the age of 30. So we have type 2 diabetes. What is type 2 diabetes? So this is where insulin is we're not making enough insulin and we're unable to use it properly, right? This normally occurs from ages 25 to over age 40. So between the ranges of 25 and 40 years and over. So our last type is gestational diabetes. So this has to relate to pregnant women, right? So in their 2nd or 3rd trimester, they will find that some persons, or most mothers, they will find that their blood sugar levels are elevated, right? Alright, so how important is our vision? So your vision is wonderful, but you could lose it if you have diabetes, right? How does the eye work? So the eye is like a camera, and it has various layers to it. So you have a lens. So normally light enter the eye, and then it goes through a layer called the cornea. So it's just a little thin layer over the eye. So light passes through the cornea, then it goes to the lens, and the lens sends it to the back of the eye, which is called the retina. Unfortunately today we don't have a video to show you guys, but I hope in reference you can just bear with me and try and see if you can understand. Right? Alright. How does diabetes affect my vision? So this is a question that you should ask yourself. How is it affecting my vision? So it is possible that it does not allow changes in the eye, And reason for this is that it don't allow changes in the eye, however, it can affect the eye in numerous ways. So one of the ways is when there is changes in the glucose level in the body, it can cause the lens to become blurry. So this is where you experience blur vision. So depending on if your diabetes is uncontrolled, it causes the lens in the eye to become a little bit blurry. So I'm not sure if any diabetic person in here has ever experienced that when their sugar levels are high, they realize that or might notice that their eyes are blurry. So is the diabetes causing that? Another way that it affects the eye or affects the lens is that it causes the lens to become cloudy. Alright? So this condition is known as cataract. A lot of persons are afraid of this word, cataract. Anytime I tell people, oh doc, I have cataract in my eye, everybody gets scared. But it's a natural aging process that all of us, whether you have diabetes or not, or if you're a person who does not have diabetes, it will affect all of us. It's a normal aging process. So just like how you have gray hairs, your eyes will get a bit cloudy as you age, right? Now, another way in which it can affect the eye is that as it relates to cataract, how it works. Normally, when there's high sugar level in the fluid around the lens, remember the eye is like a camera, so there's a lens. When there's fluid building around the lens and your sugar level is high, it will cause the lens to swell and then more water build up in the lens, which causes light to not focus as efficiently as it should. So because light is entering and there's a lot of fluid building around the lens, then that is where the cloudiness comes in, and that's how cataract is normally developed. So when you're having issues like these, it can affect your glasses prescription. So normally persons who have cataract and diabetes, when you're wearing glasses, it is normally recommended for you to get your eyes tested every 2 years. But for some persons with cataract, depending on the size of the cataract, they would have to test their eyes one time per year. So it's not 2 anymore, it's 1 time per year. Right. So another way in which diabetes affects the eye is for some persons it can cause them to develop glaucoma. Now, what is glaucoma? Glaucoma affects the optic nerve in the eye. So it's normally when the optic nerve becomes damaged, or when there's a high eye pressure in the eye. So just like when you have blood pressure, you have pressure for the eye as well, right? Another way in which it affects the eye is affects the blood vessels at the back of the eye. So at the back of the eye, the terminology is called retina. So there are some vessels that supplies the retina at the back of the eye. So once your diabetes is uncontrolled, it will cause those vessels to be blocked, or it can cause leaking, or it can cause them to grow incorrectly. And that is where complication comes into play. No, we're not saying that everybody who has diabetes is going to develop an eye problem. No. If your sugar is being controlled, and if you're living, if you're eating the right way, if you're exercising, then all will be well. Right? Let's divulge a little bit more in diabetic eye diseases. So diabetic retinopathy is the most frequent cause of blindness, and it affects the tiny blood vessels in the retina. Now, the treatment for diabetic retinopathy is normally laser treatment or injections. And I have a video, well, it's not really a video, because I don't know if you can see from where you are. So there are various severity as it relates to diabetic retinopathy, right? So this is a normal eye. I'm not sure if you can see from where you are. I can't see though. Alright, so you have a normal eye. But for persons with diabetic retinopathy, you will realize that there's a change in their vision. So we normally ask patients when they're coming in for a screening, we normally ask them this question. do you ever experience floaters or flashing lights? And if the person says yes, that could indicate to us that there's some issue occurring at the back of the eye, right? We're not saying it definitively that it is until an examination is done, but it can indicate that there's something there, right? So it ranges in 3 stages. So normally diabetic retinopathy, it starts from a mild level where you have the blood vessels at the back of the eye. They will burst or rupture and leak, or it will cause fats to leak out inside the eyes. And when we say fats, what do we mean by fats? Now, the eye is naturally made up of fats. The whole entire body is made up of fats. But the layer of the eye, it has fats in it. So imagine yourself getting a cut. And when you get the cut, you'll see that it bleeds first, and then after it bleeds, you see like a clear liquid coming out. That clear liquid is the fats that is leaking out of the wound. So it's the same process that takes place in the eye. So the vessels will rupture, cause bleeding, and then a clear liquid will leak out, and then it causes fats to leak out. But we don't want that clear liquid to leak out in the eye. Reason being is that if there's too much liquid building up in the eye, it can lead to blindness. So we're trying to prevent that from happening. Alright, the second stage of it is it can lead from mild to moderate and severe retinopathy. So moderate and severe retinopathy mean that there is more bleeding occurring in the eye. So more bleeding, more fats coming out, more vessels are forming in the eye. So remember that we said that it can cause vessels to grow incorrectly. So yes, that's the moderate to mild stage. Now, the severe stage, and this is the detrimental stage, is when you have an excessive bleeding that will cover the whole layer of the eye. So we have like a boat-shaped bleeding here. But it can get worse to the point where the whole entire eye is covered in blood, and then a layer of the eye starts to peel off. So the retina will start to detach. So that's the end stage. And normally at the end stage, the treatment for it is laser treatment. So with laser treatment, it don't improve your vision, it just stops the excessive bleeding. So if you had poor vision coming into a screening, your vision is going to be like that for the time needed afterwards. So it's not going to improve the vision, it just keeps the vision as how it is, but it stops the bleeding.